Good evening. Thank you for joining me and happy Father's Day. Be still then and know that I am God. If you've just been with us for Evensong, you'll know that that verse I've just read comes from the psalm which is set for this evening, Psalm 46. It begins, God is our hope and strength, a very present help in trouble. And God knows we need his help at this time of trouble. 2 weeks ago we celebrated Trinity Sunday, and so passed into that period of almost 6 months, which the church calendar calls ordinary time. Whatever this is, it is not ordinary. I'm not sure we even remember what ordinary is anymore, or whether we shall ever see again what was ordinary once. At the beginning of last month, we commemorated VE Day, the end in Europe of a war which engulfed the whole world. I occasionally wonder at such times of commemoration what events in my own lifetime will be remembered 50, 75, 100 years hence. When I was at school, we were given a list of historical dates to learn. 55 BC, Roman invasion of Britain. 597, mission of St. Augustine. 1066, Battle of Hastings. And all that. On my copy, I added at the bottom, 1969, first moon landing. It seemed to my teenage mind like the defining moment of my life, the start of a new outward expansion, a new age of discovery. But since Apollo 17 in 1972, no one's gone back. The expansion has been on hold. I also remember the coming down of the Berlin Wall in 1989. My life until that point had been lived under the shadow of the Cold War. It felt like the beginning of a new era of peace and cooperation. Well, we've just watched the dramatisation of a very real use of a Cold War weapon by a foreign power on British soil, with callous disregard for what I think we now call collateral damage. History has a strange way of airbrushing out many of the events which seemed momentous at the time. Will the Black Lives Matter movement be the start of a new era of justice and equality in race relations? Or will we, in 50 years' time, remember George Floyd in the same way as we now remember Martin Luther King Jr.? And what of COVID-19 and the pandemic? I think no event, not even the Second World War, has touched every part of the globe, every part of humanity, in the way this has, or will do if it hasn't done yet. Will the pandemic be the defining moment of our lives? The moment which history remembers? In a perverse way, I hope it will. I think for all the pain and grief the virus has caused, we have been lucky this time. With a small change in its characteristics, it could have been so much worse. If we as a species do not learn the lessons of how ill prepared we were, how powerless we still are to control this thing, the next one could wipe us out. Whatever becomes the new normal, whatever is ordinary in the future, has to be very different from the past. And it has to be for everyone. I do not believe that COVID-19 is in any part of God's plan for humanity. But I do believe that how we use the free will that God has given us collectively to recover from it will shape the destiny of us all peoples, all nations. And that brings back Jesus' words to the disciples at the end of Matthew's Gospel. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. I began this intending it to be in the nature of a gentle fireside chat. Sometimes you find yourself going places you didn't envisage. So, let's return to things nearer to home. We've begun already to open some of our churches for private prayer, and more next week. Some we have chosen to leave closed to allow work already planned to complete. We're making and now refining plans to allow a limited form of public worship to begin next month. Norma and I know how painful the closure has been. Just as the government is beginning to factor mental health, as well as infection control, into its policies. So we will do our best to temper the enthusiasm so many feel with common sense. We long to welcome everyone back into a space which is and feels both safe and sacred. If I'm honest, I think since mid-March we have been on the back foot, reacting to circumstance, keeping things going as best we can. We're now beginning to regain some control. There is an opportunity now to shape how we do things going forward, patterns and styles of worship, pastoral care, sharing ministry as a community. Work with us on that. The churches, and I don't just mean the buildings, the churches belong to us all. I am sure we will have many thoughts in our minds as we again go into the house of the Lord. But I'm certain that for me, one of them will be verses from this evening's psalm. God is our hope and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will we not fear, though the earth be moved. O come hither, and behold the works of the Lord. He maketh wars to cease in all the world. He breaketh the bow and knappeth the spear in sunder, and burneth the chariots in the fire. Be still then, and know that I am God. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Amen.